Hello world! This week on my pattern drafting tutorials, I'm going to do this paneled A-line skirt dress thing that has this funky keyhole in the back and a fun little buttoned overlap here on the yoke. These buttons in the front are totally non-functional, they're just there for looks. The back has a zipper, and you can tell that in the drawing by this little tab and this little cross mark here. That's where you would sew your zipper. Yeah, so I'm going to start with the back pattern just because it's probably the easiest. What I'm going to do first to figure out where I want to put my keyhole is I'm going to grab a guide and match it up to the shoulder dart leg. I'm going to use my rotate tool. Crazy enough, you can rotate your guidelines, which is super fun. And then I need a box. I'm going to draw a box that is 1 inch by 1 inch. And I'm going to put that on top of my center or my back dart and put a guideline there. So this is the corner where my keyhole will start. And then I'm going to do a mid-armhole guideline to get my keyhole shape. I need to add anchor points to get my corners. One there, 2 random ones, 1 there. The 2 random ones I just made are for these lines or these corners here and here. And I just need to use my handles to reshape these funky curves. Come in, there we go. So that we don't have any weirdness happening, just because this is a very geometrically shaped keyhole. All right, big fan of that, looks great. There's a little bit of a curve here, actually. I'm going to get rid of my guideline. Just kidding. I'm going to scoop this whole pattern. 1 jump to the left. And this is the anchor I need to get rid of. And actually, let's, for good measure, get rid of both. Cool. All right. And now, add an anchor point on my guideline. Use the snipping tool, snip it, and snip. And now we've got these pieces. Don't select your guide. Jump back, jump up, and a little bit over again just so that it matches. This is the piece that we're going to use to make our yoke. Coming in through here, select your anchor, snip it. And now move, not the guide. There we go. Move our anchor points along this line to here. This is going to help us get rid of the shoulder excess, which will create a bit of a curve on our yoke, which is exactly what we want. Regular selection, select this, R for rotate, rotate from that anchor point, match those. Now I can get rid of, wow, now I can get rid of my guidelines so I can see better. It does look like this got a little weird. I'm just going to drag this so that it matches. That makes me feel better. Using my direct select, get rid of these 2 lines. I think there is an anchor point floating in space over here. That's going to bother me. Yep, get rid of that too. I'm going to click and drag and join. I don't like the bump that happens here, so I'm going to use my subtraction, get rid of that one, so now it's a straight line. It's not going to change the fit, trust me. I'm going to match this anchor point to here, click and drag and join. Using my handles, I'm going to smooth this out. I want this to be fairly a right angle, and then this to have a little curve. I'm going to do a little bit of a curve here as well. And so basically our shoulder dart has now been transferred. They call this, when you do regular pattern drafting, it's excess transfer to armhole. And so that gives us a little bit of dart. Usually you would smooth it out and you would just have a little bit baggier armhole, but this is the shaped yoke piece, so we're pretty good on that shape there. I am going to create our overlap by drawing a circle. Give me my circle options. I think I'm going to do a 3 3/4 inch circle. And because it's about a half circle overlap, I am going to match that there. I'm going to change the shape of my back neck to match, just because I like it a little deeper like that. Make sure that these look like they're fairly right angles. Using my direct select, I'm going to get rid of that half and that line. And then I'm going to join my points here and there. And now we've got our overlap and our funky back pattern, which is super fun. Oh, I need to rejoin this anchor to that anchor to get a solid piece. Because this is a lovely A-line, I am going to grab an anchor, or a guide, match it to that anchor, and then I'm going to rotate again. So R, I can rotate my anchors. You might need to select, I think it's Smart Anchor or Smart Guides under your guideline options, but I think this will work just fine. I'm going to make this an A-line, just going straight out. I will change the shape of the hem curve here because I think it's terrible right now, but this is just, for now. I'm going to get rid of the hip anchor, and for now, the back pattern is pretty well completed. I'm just going to scoot these out of the way slightly. I'm going to group these two just so that my fisheye dart does not get lost. And now, to work on our front pattern piece, I'm going to throw this over here so you can see it a little better. This tiny dart here is what's called a Dior dart. It makes it so that you don't have to have such an extreme princess seam curve. I am going to move all of my dart excess to the bottom corner of this pattern to give us this lovely angle here. I need a guide to find my bust point, and I'm going to snip through my dart leg points, or dart points, and redraft these up here and up here. Whenever you're moving dart excess, always find your bust point first. This will give you the most accurate dart movement. I think now I'm going to snip this corner here and then rotate closed that. That's pretty close, so I'm going to make sure that that matches that anchor point there. And then same thing with this one. Regular selection, click and rotate. And so now we've got our side dart. I am going to remove my dart legs here, and I'll remove my dart legs here. I'm not going to join this point because I'm going to need this later. I will now complete this dart like that to give me the shape that I want. So this will give us this fun Dior dart that's here. I'm going to draw a guideline through. This looks like it comes down from about here, and then through this, and then probably about there to where our anchor point is. I don't want to connect it yet because I'm going to move some stuff around. That's just a basic guideline. I need a rectangle or a square that is 4 by 4, and that's just sort of picking that number out of my head here because that looks like it could be about 4 inches. It could be a different proportion, just depends on what your preference is pattern-wise. I'm going to move this so that's on this line. I want to make sure though that we are matching. Yes, okay, so this needs to be a straight line. I'm going to get rid of this handle by clicking and dragging it back to its anchor point. This one doesn't have a handle because it's already a straight line. And so now this is a kind of funky, it's not really the shape I want. So I'm going to adjust my anchor points. I want this to come way out to here. I want this to come down to here. I'm going to remove a little bit of that funky curve, smooth it out a bit. That's pretty good. I like that. I usually adjust the dart point so that it doesn't give you a very pointy bust issue by 5/8 of an inch. Let's see what that looks like. If we did that in this pattern, there would basically be no dart. So I'm gonna not do that this time. I'm just gonna leave it where it is. I could, however, I'm gonna move just this anchor point a little bit lower, and that will help a bit. Yeah, that's pretty good. I think I'm still gonna leave that dart point where it is. All right, get rid of this box. I need to make sure I know where that corner is, and another guideline. There we go. So this line that's here was the dart leg from the bodice pattern before I cut it all apart. And so that's where I want to make sure that this panel lines up to. That way our skirt will make it easy when I match these two together, which is great. Okay, now on my bodice pattern, I need to add an anchor point along my guideline, and then I have to do the same on my dart legs, anchor point, and this already has an anchor point. And then I'm just going to get rid of the top half of this line so that I don't lose the guideline that I have down here. And now I'm going to cut through my dart legs there, and I want to cut through this where I put that anchor. And now I've got these pieces. I need these pieces later, but they're in my way right now, so I'm going to select them all and move them over a bit. And now, oops, don't need that. I am going to reconnect my pattern pieces. I will redraw that curve and that curve momentarily. Shift C is your curve point tool, and I just want to give it a little bit of a bow like that. That looks lovely. Super duper. All right. Our skirt front is just an A-line skirt that starts at the dart. So I'm going to add an anchor point down here, if it'll, there we go. And then I'm going to cut my dart leg, or dart point. I've got two separate pieces. I'm going to scoot this out of the way. Bring all of this over to here so you can see what's going on. I'm going to take this skirt piece and match it up to that part of my dart, or my bodice pattern. I am just going to move this over to here. Use my A tool, direct select, and delete those lines. And then I'm going to match up my bodice dart leg to my skirt dart leg by dragging the anchor point to, where is it? To there. Click, drag, join. And now I've got that fun little straight line panel here. Being that this is an A-line skirt, I'm going to take a guideline and put it on my dart, and then I'm going to rotate my guideline to match my dart here. And I need to scoot that just so I can see what I'm doing. Click there, click there. So use my pen tool to redraw my shape, and now I've got almost a full shape. I forgot to click, drag, and join those two anchor points at the center front. And now we are pretty good on that shape. Get rid of this guide so you can see what's happening. Oop, not that, just the guide. And that guide. Okay, so there's our front panel. I will smooth out some of these points here in a minute, and the hem once I walk all my pattern pieces. Let's now work on the side panel. This is going to be very interesting. I'm not exactly sure what I want to do here, but I think let's rotate some guides again. Match a guide to this anchor, hit R, and then line it up to there. This guy decided to float around in space, but he just needs to be connected to this anchor point here. It would have been easier if I had grouped all of these pieces before I started moving things. Yeah, just always make sure that your pieces are together before you move them, or else you might get some weirdness happening. Okay, so this is a dart. I am going to draw to there, and that way I can figure out how to close my dart. To give that a stroke, get rid of this guideline. I'm going to leave this other guideline here so we can figure out what we're doing. Click, drag, join those anchor points. Okay, now I'm going to take this and rotate from the new dart point to close. Whoa. That happened because I used my direct selection tool and not my regular selection tool. Okay, regular selection, same thing. There we go. Oh, that looks nice. All right. And now I'm going to join all of these. I'm going to get rid of my guideline. Or not join, sorry, group. Get rid of my guideline. And I need to match up this point to the skirt. And there we go. And then I'm going to rotate from here up to about where the 2 points will match. I'm going to go with that. We're just going to make the skirt match. It's probably going to be about, yeah, it's like less than 1/8 of an inch to make those make more sense. Yeah, I don't really mind that shape. I think that'll work out. I'm going to use my direct select and get rid of that little thing there. And then remember that extra line that I added? It needs to go away. So this will be connected from here to here, then here to there. So start that, connect here to here. That closes that shape. So get rid of this line. Hopefully that works. Yeah. Now pen tool again, connect from here to there. I'm not sure why it didn't like that. There might be an extra anchor point here. Let's do regular selection, Control Shift G, ungroup stuff, and then remove this and then move it back. There are 2 anchor points here, I think. Let's see. Let's find out what's floating in space. Oh, I don't know. Weird. Yeah, I don't know why it doesn't like that. Huh. Well, that's going to create some problems a little bit later when I try to do my seam allowances. See, it doesn't want to do it there either. Let's move this up, and this down and over and over. I'm just sort of moving my pattern pieces around to find why these will not want to connect. Oh, there we go. See, there must have been some extra anchor points floating in space so that it was trying to connect 3 things, which it won't do. I'm going to, again, rotate my guide now to draw the flare of this skirt pattern. Now these are more connected. I always scoot them away. I'm just using the guideline as a line to show me where I'm going, because if you try to reconnect pieces on a guideline, it doesn't like it. I don't know why. Same idea here. I want to get rid of the hip, and so I'm going to just draw another flare. This is going to be more flared than I thought, which is fine. I don't mind at all. I'm moving this out to here and subtracting my hip line. Okay. Alrighty, so I don't like how straight all these are, but that's okay. We'll come back to that in a second. I just want to make sure, see, there's weird anchor points floating in space. These did not want to connect, and I'm not sure exactly why. See if I click on that. Maybe they are the same shape now. One could hope. Okay, now we need to do the all-important walking of our pieces. And I'm already seeing something super weird happening here. What did I do? That's a good question. All right, I'm going to walk this to there. Ah, I do know what I did. This is only to there. This needs to go all the way to here. So I'm going to, good thing I'm walking this, matching up these points. I did not account for that extra space that I took there, but that's okay. I'm just going to redraft that to here. And that looks super weird, but I think it'll work because I match up my waistline darts, waistline notches. And then it's a little long, but I think I can make it work. I'm going to change that to there. I think we'll be okay. Yeah, that looks like a normal armhole dart that you would have on a bodice pattern with its waistline curve going down. So I'm good with that. All right, back to walking. We're going to walk from our waistline and match this. It's pretty close. I'm going to do it from this point again, and I want to make sure that these totally match. I'm not going to even them out yet because I don't need to. I need to draw another shape first before I do that. I clicked on this, which selected the fisheye dart as well. Make sure that that stays where it is, or else you'll lose its location. That happens if you group them together. Then things work really well. Matching my waistline, using the R tool to rotate, rotating it till it matches. Again, walking my pattern. I'm going to zoom in and make sure that these match here. Okay, now using my pen tool to draw a guideline that is perpendicular to the front and as best as I can see perpendicular to the back. It looks like about that-ish. So now I'm going to line this up to my center back and line this up to my center front. And so this is why I didn't like how straight those lines were before, because that wouldn't have worked as a hemline. This, I'm going to draw a box as a guideline. It needs to be, I don't know, 5 by 5. Doesn't really matter the length of this. I just need to see where my handles are perpendicularly to my center back. Click rotate, match that up. Click my guideline, find my handle, and then line that up better to the square that's here. Delete the square, don't need it now. And now I have to change these, so I'm just going to move my anchors to fit. This anchor can go away, I don't need it. I will adjust these curves in a moment. Again, this anchor can go away. Just matching these up to these lines here, and this line there. I'm going to turn my guideline pink so that we can see the difference. Shift C is your curve tool. You can do that either on a point or on a line to edit its curve. And that's pretty nice. Oops, I would use the correct, there we go. Correct command. I think this doesn't match up as well as I want. So I'm just going to use my handles and drag them over. I'm going to try to keep them as perpendicular as possible. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, so pink line, guideline can go away. Goodbye. And now to reorient all my shapes here. Scoot that out of the way. Grab me a guideline, put it there, put this over here, rotate it. Nope. Not from there. Rotate it from this point. And then it matches. Alright, so that's there. This super weird piece, I'm going to rotate from its waistline notch and just sort of eyeball to where it's flat. I was concerned that this was going to sew really strangely when I sew this together, but I'm not all that worried now that I'm looking at it. This is basically that shape here, so I think we'll be okay. There's going to be a little bit of a curve here. I kind of want to make this curved in a little bit, so Shift-C. I'm going to just take the middle of this, actually the upper middle up here, and just drag this a little bit, just a little bit. If I was trying to be super precise, what I would do is draw a guide from this anchor to this anchor and figure out the difference that this bows out, but I'm not going to be that specific right now. Get rid of my guideline there. And pretty much we are done, which is fantastic. I'm going to select all of my pieces and then do Object, Path, Offset Path for my favorite way to draw seam allowances. And I think that worked for most of it. This has happened, I've drafted this pattern twice now, and it's happened because I keep forgetting that there's something weird not connected in this guy. So I'm going to delete the inner guy here. Actually, I'm going to delete the outside because I know exactly what I did. This. Click, drag, join, and I don't want this to be bowed out on the side seam, so I'm going to subtract both of those anchors. Now it's a straight line. That's a handle. Okay, good. And Object Path, Offset Path again. And now we've got an actual shape. Brilliant. Okay, so I think this is our final pattern. There are weird things floating in space. I'm going to group and find whatever that was. This happens because I cut things apart a lot using my anchor points, and so I just get floaty anchor points, which I don't need. I don't need the seam allowance on the outside of this dart, so I'm going to get rid of that as well. I would probably add a little more hem allowance and then do like an inch wide hem here, but I think for all intents and purposes this is fine. I am also going to show you another trick for pattern pieces that so on the last one I cut away some of this front seam allowance for a pattern that's cut on the fold, but if I just remove all the seam allowance, select the piece, transform and reflect it, see how it wants to make a vertical reflect. I'm going to copy it so that there's two pieces, and then match up my anchors, use my A tool to get rid of the middle line. I don't need my center line. Use my A tool again, click, drag, and join, click, drag, and join. And now, Object Path, Offset Path one last time. And now we've got a pattern piece that is not cut on fold, that would normally be cut on fold. So this way you can see what it's going to look like as a full piece. And otherwise, I think that's it. And I really, really enjoy this shape. And so I think I'm going to try to sew this up and show you what it looks like next week. I will have to add a facing to this up here because of this weird keyhole. What I think I'm probably going to do is like a halvesy lining, so a long facing, and just make the top half of this, from about 7 inches down in the waist, but just below the dart. So I'll sew up a piece like that for the whole thing, across the whole thing, just to make sure that I can finish off this piece. I think that'll work the best. I'm not quite sure, but of course, practice makes perfect, so I'll have to try it out anyway. Otherwise, if you liked the pattern drafting this week, hit that subscribe button. Let me know if you have any questions, drop some comments. I will be asking for submissions for a new pattern in 3 weeks, so if you want me to draft something for you, either a drawing you have or a picture you found, send it to me and I will draft it up. I'll pick my favorite and draft up whichever one I end up with. And as a bonus, I will send you a PDF of the pattern so you can print it out and sew it up yourself. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video.